Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. You'll get 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Plus, enjoy access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection. And with the welcome offer of 150,000 points, your business can soar to all new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum. Built for business by American Express.
It was a true crime film, but it had black people in the center, because I feel sometimes that there's all these mafia films, mafia documentaries, you know, you talk about John Gotti, and I found like there's a certain mythology around the craze, around John Gotti, to the point where I think they're not even seen as criminals anymore. But a Frank Lucas and a Bumpy Johnson and a Wayne Perry, all those people, they're the criminals. So I really appreciate the fact that it brought this story to the big screen. I loved its proximity to hip-hop. I was thoroughly engaged.
Hey everybody, joining Flixwatcher today, we have Sumit.
Hey.
Chris.
Greetings.
Kobe.
Hey.
And we're here today to talk about American Gangster.
Thank you as always to the mighty people for their mighty tunes. Thanks to Ben from Rocket Audio for editing this podcast and all the other podcasts. Please do remember to head over to Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Pocket Casts and give us a 5-star rating and a glowing review, and join the conversation with us on Twitter at FlixWatcherPod, or Instagram at FlixWatcher, or Threads at FlixWatcher, and maybe TikTok at some point. Who knows? Blue Sky, we are there somewhere, but I forget that is. It's probably Flixwatcher there as well.
Hello film fans, welcome to Flixwatcher podcast. Our guests today are Chris and Sumit. Over to you please, Chris, to say hello to our listeners and tell them a little bit more about who you are and what you do, please.
Greetings, Flixwatcher world. My name is Chris Mitchell, aka The Actual Factual, and I am the co-host of the Breaking Atoms podcast alongside the great Sumit Sharma. Every week we speak to the world and we share our love of hip-hop culture, whether it be through reviews, interviews, the latest news, weekly wrap-ups, etc. The podcast was birthed early 2018 over a bowl of pasta in an unknown location in West London. Sumit and I would often meet, have food and have conversations, and we just started recording those conversations, and it turned into the Breaking Atoms podcast, which basically turned into a production house. And yeah, we produce our own series. We have the amazing, if I do say so myself, series out right now called Elements, where we look at seminal hip-hop albums from a historical, critical, philosophical, intellectual lens, where we go beyond the music per se. The first episode is about the classic album Ready to Die by the Notorious B.I.G. And we speak to numerous people who were involved in the album, people who grew up, neighbors, etc. And the next episode is going to be on an MF Doom album. And if you listen to Elements, episode 1, you'll find out which album it actually is. It's an honor to be here. We love music. We love films. So, you know, let's do this.
Nice. When you say unknown location, when you guys got together, it's like you don't want to declare where that is, or you've forgotten?
No. I remember.
Pasta.
I remember. You know what it is? Yeah? It's undisclosed because these people ain't paying for no advertising spot. So, you know. But we'll tell you off mic.
They're not getting a blue plaque saying the birth of Breaking Atoms.
Nah, they don't. No. Not yet. We need something in writing where we're going to get some free pasta for the whole team. Not just Sumit and Chris, Kobe and Helen. You need to be able to go in there and hold a carbonara free of charge.
I'm more tomatoey pasta guy than carbonara.
I love all pasta. I'll take anything.
This is what he does. He just assumes, Kobe. He just assumes everyone's carbonara.
I speak for everyone, you know, like social media. We.
Sumit, who are you?
I am Sumit Sharma. I mean, Chris has wonderfully introduced Breaking Atoms, but again, audio producer, love hip-hop, love music. I'm really excited to be talking about this movie. I love this movie, watched it many times, watched it in the cinema when it came out. Massive Denzel Washington fan. Love Denzel. So most of my things are going to be glowing about Denzel because I'm a Denzel stan. It happens. These things happen. And yeah, I've chosen American Gangster primarily for a couple of things. Denzel, yes. But then also the story. I was aware of the story prior to the movie coming out. Its proximity to the world of rap music and, you know, things like Bumpy Johnson and, you know, Freddie Fox, Jay-Z, Harlem, all these things are very much in our world of hip-hop. So the Frank Lucas story is one that we're familiar of, and so it was great to see how Denzel would then take that, Russell Crowe, etc. So that was the main reasons why I chose the movie.
Are you ready? Sorry, Sumit. Sorry,
yeah, I'm going to have the countdown music in my head, even though it's the 30 seconds. I had another 30 seconds, but yeah, I got it. I got you.
All right, 3, 2, 1, start.
So American Gangster is a 2007 crime film directed by Ridley Scott, Alien fame and all that. Stars Denzel Washington as Frank Lucas, a real-life gangster from Harlem in the late 60s and 70s. So Lucas rises to power in Harlem by smuggling heroin in the United States, using American service planes during the Vietnam War. So it was very innovative, he was very ruthless, and it made him one of the biggest drug lords in New York City. The film also stars Russell Crowe as Richie Roberts, a dedicated and honest detective who's tasked with bringing Frank Lucas down. And it kind of the movie follows their parallel lives, their kind of personal and professional struggles, navigating police, corruption, drug trafficking, and law enforcement.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Dope.
Well, let's stay with you for a second, Sumit. So you said you've watched this many times. I mean,
Yes.
That's probably going to allude to the repeat viewing score. What brings you back time and time again?
There's a few things. I think Denzel's performance is incredible. The cinematography is great. There are moments in the cinematography where it lends itself to Ridley's kind of classic. He's kind of what he's known for. There's no horse riding and horseback fighting like there is in Gladiator or things like that. But there's definitely moments where Denzel Washington's with his wife. He's gone out. He's wore a fur coat. He's been encouraged with his fur coat at this boxing match, and he kind of draws attention to himself. And that he doesn't like to do that in the drug game. You don't want to drive attention to yourself. But the amber interior that Ridley Scott is known for in other movies like Martian and other movies, that kind of shines through, but it's very different. And then when you watch this movie, you think about all the things around it. Again, hip-hop fan we are, me and Chris, Jay-Z, the soundtrack, all those things that was hyped around it was a big thing too. But it had a great cast as well. When, before I went to see it in the cinema, you're thinking, you got Russell Crowe, you got RZA, you got Denzel, you got Armand Assante, Josh Brolin, Cuba Gooding Jr., Chiwetel Ejiofor. Sorry if I didn't pronounce the name wrong. Apologies. And then obviously Common. So you've got a wide mix of actors and actresses in the movie. So it was a no-brainer. And plus Brian Grazer, 24. He did A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe as well.
I mean, let's stick on the cast for a second because it is beyond stacked.
Yeah.
This is the second time I've seen it, and last time I saw it I'm sure it was a decade ago, and I was surprised at how many people, like Josh Brolin was like, oh, he's in it as well? But this is the time Josh Brolin wasn't like, was this before There Will Be Blood? Not There Will Be Blood, but No Country for Old Men.
This was before.
Yeah, because No Country for Old Men was where he was like, suddenly he was like, oh, he's the guy. He's a guy now. Whereas before he was just like meandering around and being like in places. And this is probably where he's in places, but still like, it's a great place to be. So we've had him in No Country for Old Men. We've had him in Sicario. And he always puts a great performance in. But the person I was waiting for you to call out Sumit was Idris Elba, which you didn't mention. And this was before so I think it's the first time I'd watched The Wire. And then this guy, Idris Elba, I didn't know he was British at this point, and he's in this film, and I'm like, is that Idris Elba? Is that String? Oh, okay. Just like, but it didn't play, it wasn't, I was just like, it looks a bit like String, but that doesn't make any, I don't know why it didn't make any sense. And then suddenly he's like the biggest person there, world's sexiest man, like 10 years later. But I love the way you have these films where these people are smaller fry at the point, but then they still have impact, right? But yeah, the cast is nonsense.
There's that scene.
John Hawkes.
There's Lamari Nadal who plays the wife of Frank Lucas. Yeah. There's so many. It's just stacked. For one, I can't really understand Armand Assante all that much in most of the movie anyway when he talks, especially when he's talking about success to Denzel. But I think going back to Idris, I think a lot of people thought that Idris Elba was American because of the popularity of The Wire and how great he made it sound like he was from Baltimore. But that scene is so powerful in the movie where Denzel is just at the table with his brother. And it was the first time that his brothers get to see, and you get to see, this Frank Lucas guy's a serious character.
Yeah,
like,
very serious.
I'm just going to blow the head off another fellow drug lord in the middle of Harlem. And that happened. And it's like, what? This is mad. And yeah, one of the reasons why I forget about Idris is because of that moment. It's just, it's fleeting for him. But like you said, at that time, Idris is touted as being a black James Bond, right? I don't know what's happened to that. But at that time in 2007, his star is still rising in terms of movies. But yeah, I mean, it was strange to see like Common in there, like random T.I.
Yeah, T.I. was in there.
Right?
He is.
It's
Yeah,
really strange. It's really strange. And T.I. at that time, 2006, is massive in the hip hop world. He's huge. I think he's probably on his second album at that point. He's probably got the Rihanna record, "Live Your Life," coming out.
It was just before that.
Yeah, so it's strange. You look at him and going,
he was huge
for a hip hop fan. I'm going, yeah, that's really cool to see all these people, like all these rappers in there. But it just, I don't know. It didn't fit that Common was in there and T.I.
It didn't.
It didn't fit. It felt like they were just there because there was a proximity to rap music with this movie. If that makes sense. Like it felt like they were trying to, because the Jay-Z album that comes out, American Gangster, was originally supposed to be the soundtrack, much like Kendrick Lamar and Black Panther later. So originally,
but Black
Jay-Z
Panther was the
soundtrack.
Second,
yeah. So originally, the Jay-Z American Gangster album was there was talk of him doing the official soundtrack. That didn't pan out, so he then does his own solo album. So there's a lot of proximity to rap around the movie. And when they were shooting this movie and Jay-Z was making that album, Denzel Washington and Idris would be at the studio sessions after filming. So the proximity to rap is crazy. So for rap fans, it's amazing. But looking back at it now as a second, third, fourth, fifth watch, I'm going, yeah, Common and T.I. don't need to be in this movie. It's just there to
small.
go. Yeah, they have T.I. It's great. Not really. I think Chiwetel, he makes something of that character as the brother. The rest of them is just, they fill it sadly. and I love Common and I love T.I., but...
I mean, I've said his name a few times. You guys have just glossed over in terms of RZA.
Yep.
He's playing a good guy.
I was happy to see him.
That was good.
Wu-Tang Stan. Yep. Yeah. More RZA, please. More RZA.
You talked about in terms of like the dual kind of parallel stories of Russell Crowe's straight-laced cop and Frank Lucas story. I always like this, like almost like goody two-shoes cop fighting against the rest of his department. Yeah. The people who want to take them and want to take the drugs and get all the goodness that can fall that way for them. And we've had we see it in The Departed, for example. There was a great storyline there. So what do you guys make of it? And Helen, we've had The Departed on here before.
Yeah, I think I like that style. I almost start to think, was Ridley Scott trying to do his own version of Heat?
We've had Heat as well.
Pacino, De Niro. Was he trying to do his own kind of, I guess, not as great version? I love this movie, American Gangster, but it's no Heat. But was he trying to do that where in Heat you have the same thing, right? You have the two parallel lives and you see the personal and professional struggles, etc., etc. So I wonder if that happened, if that was the thinking behind it as a narrative arc, as a play of let's just have these two people and go through their lives and then they come to meet at the end, like they do when Frank Lucas is arrested. But I liked it. I think it was good. I think Russell Crowe puts on a great performance. I really believe him. A good marker is, you know who the person is, you've seen them at other movies. And do I believe him and his character? Yes, I do. To Frank Lucas, to RZA, and to Russell. I do believe they are those characters and who they are. So I thought it was great.
Helen, thoughts on American Gangster? You've seen it before.
So I had, but when I put it on to rewatch it, it was quite apparent that it was a very long time ago and I was very hazy about a lot of things. I was like, oh, so this is actually really good because I can vaguely remember it, but this is going to be a good watch. I think Ridley Scott has been in a very lucky position that he's been given this like absolutely incredible true story in a very fast-moving time in American history. And I feel the directing is a little bit pedestrian and it's more like Frank Lucas and Denzel and then Russell Crowe being really, really good in this. And it kind of feels weird for me saying this. Like, it's 2 hours and 36 minutes. It could be longer. I feel that there's so much that would have happened. And like the whole thing in the ending, it makes it seem like in 20 minutes, Frank Lucas just kind of like turned over all his knowledge and everything and got the plea. Like, that would have taken years. And I don't think it really explores why Frank did it and how he kind of felt about doing that. So it kind of like goes into the early bit in quite some detail, and you kind of get to understand him a bit more, and just how he approached dealing drugs was really, really amazing. Like, the innovation and how he basically was like, I'm just going to cut out the middleman. I'm going straight to the source, and I'm going to do my own thing, was really, really clever.
And I think also the purity of it as well, just saying we're just going to be the best and not going to try and make money from,
the whole thing, like, he gets on about, like, the branding as well. Like, there's just so much in it that's amazing. And then, like, the bit at the end is like, and like, they had some coffee and he turned all his people in, and it was like a big happy ending. So I kind of feel like there's probably another hour in there that could have been told. So it's really, 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 really interesting. And I've said it before, like, we don't deserve Denzel. Even in a mid-film, he's like up there, and he's just, you can watch him in anything. And in every film, there's a different Denzel. And I think one of the ones for this is, I think when we see Denzel being really, really dark, it's like, oh, shit, because he's kind of like, when you see him in interviews, he seems such like a really chill person, and you'd really like to be his friend. But like, when he brings on the darkness is really terrifying, because it's really unexpected. So thanks for bringing this. I think I maybe did watch it when it came out, but I hadn't watched it since. So yeah, it was almost like watching it new, because my brain hadn't really remembered much.
Chris?
It was my first time.
Serious?
Watching, my first time watching American Gangster. And it was similar to, with my pick from the previous episode, They Cloned Tyrone. It was a great opportunity for me to finally watch American Gangster. Sumit has sung the praises of this film forever. So I said, all right, listen, let me go and watch it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. I was vaguely familiar with the Frank Lucas story after, because I go down YouTube rabbit holes and Reddit threads a lot. And I just loved the fact that, and forgive me if I go off on a tangent here, it was a true crime film, if that is a genre, but it had black people in the center, because I feel sometimes that, there's all these mafia films, mafia documentaries, you talk about John Gotti, and I found like there's a certain mythology around the craze, around John Gotti, to the point where I think they're not even seen as criminals anymore.
Yeah.
But a Frank Lucas and a Bumpy Johnson and a Wayne Perry and all those people, they're the criminals. So I really appreciate the fact that it brought this story to the big screen. I loved its proximity to hip hop. I was thoroughly engaged. And like Helen said, anything with Denzel, there were parts in the film, Denzel said something profound and he just does the kind of thing. Yet that kind of snuck in there as well. Loved the scene where he shoots Idris Elba's character in the head in the daytime, because that's when I was like, oh, it's one of those. The cinematography was great. It had this kind of really, it wasn't bright, it wasn't polished. And maybe that's a reflection of the time it was released. It's what, 15 plus years now, I think. So it was like time travel for me. And it kind of brought me back to where we were in the world at the time. I remember what I was doing, where I was working, where I was living. And I'm definitely going to watch this again. So yeah, great shout, Sumit. Thank you for recommending the film.
Why did you think it took you so long?
Honestly, I got too much going on, man. I got too much going on. And when I find, what it is? I don't watch as many films as I should. I maybe watch one a month.
Oh, really?
I'm a music guy, so I'll listen to 4 albums a day and watch one film a month. My Netflix playlist right now is an absolute mazzoline, yeah? There are so many films I have to watch, but as a result of coming on your amazing podcast, I'm going to make it my point of duty to just power through this watch list. Why did it take so long? I haven't even got an answer for you guys. I'm just trash. I'm just trash. I'm not serious.
I was going to say, might I suggest something, Chris?
Yes.
Might I suggest, as a rule for life,
yeah,
any Denzel Washington movie that comes out, watch it.
No, I loved him in Man on Fire. That was
That's
hard.
okay. That's okay.
Training Day was nuts.
Yes, but I think as a rule, like if the doctor says eat fruit,
Yeah.
I'm saying watch a Denzel movie.
Okay, cool. I'm going to do that.
Sumit,
I'm
the
going to do that.
doctor.
It's nutritional advice.
Dr. Sumit.
I would do that.
I'm thinking about training, because I was trying to think about, we should have a list. At some point, Helen will probably get a list of the previous actors that have been in our films. Or we could just type in Denzel Washington and it pops up all the films that they've been in. But look, Training Day, Inside Man, The Equalizer. I'm just like, so maybe like yourself, Chris, people telling me to watch The Equalizer, and it's like, I don't get it. I don't get the idea of what's going on here.
And that's totally fine not to get it.
But then when someone brought it onto the show, onto our podcast, and I watched it, I was like, oh, I've been wasting my life. I should have just gone and seen it.
It was awesome.
I do love Denzel. I do.
good.
And then Equalizer 2 was on Netflix at the same time, so I watched that. And at the same time, Equalizer 3 was in the cinema. So literally in like the space of 2 days, I'd watched all the 3 Equalizer films.
Oof. You know what? Denzel's a legend. If I could come back and be reincarnated as someone, I'd probably say, look, God, in it. Like, make me Denzel in it, please.
Because, yeah, he's got that amazing smile, like the 100 million megawatt smile, but also then he's got a gun and knows how to use it. Bang. And sits back down to...
Have food.
As if nothing's happened. Yeah.
Just have food with his family. Like, imagine...
And his brother Chewie, Ejiofor, is just like...
In his silly suits.
Yeah.
Imagine shooting someone in the head and then just going down to eat plantain. It's mad.
Yeah.
It's mad.
That scene when... The amount of times he's telling his brother not to be a fucking idiot and wear the stupid suit. Because that's a Goodfellas type thing. You see that in few. So I like seeing that in this as well, where he's surrounded by imbeciles in a way. And his brother is his brother and is also like, for fuck's sake, man, can you just
relax?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's
cleaning that white carpet. It's just like, it's not going to come out, man. Don't dab it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh no.
Is there anything else you want to say, guys, before we head to the scores?
I love the way that Russell Crowe's character just realised the levels of Frank Lucas, because it was so subtle to me, the fact that he's at this boxing match and he's like, oh, he's got better seats than the mafia, than the Italians. And it was so loaded to me. It's like, okay, black man in Harlem, and you're not supposed to sit there. People like you don't sit over there. You don't wear these things but you shouldn't be here. And it's just such an ironic twist in the story for me that, you know, he brought attention to himself by figuratively or, you know, symbolically being somewhere he shouldn't have been. I thought that was a dope twist on the story.
I didn't interpret it as like he shouldn't have been there, but I interpret it as all the police know or think they know what's going on.
Yes,
to the
that
extent.
too.
Yeah, and they're like,
too.
If it was a Japanese guy that sat there like, hold on, where's this guy come from? You know, that kind of thing. But I love the fact that suddenly, because of this one thing, which is quite subtle, he's like, yeah, I'll have that seat right in front of the bell or whatever it was. That suddenly is like, let's get his name. Who is that guy? Let's put him on the board. He's got to be Capo di Capo. Yeah.
It was the coat, wasn't it?
His coat
was that stupid fugly coat.
Yeah.
That coat was amazing. What?
No, it wasn't amazing. No.
Did you see the hat?
Many animals died for that coat.
Did you see the hat?
Wasn't
And he burns
amazing.
it.
It was terrible.
No. I would wear that
All
coat.
those little chinchillas
What?
died.
With the matching hat?
With the hat, yeah.
Come on.
Terrible.
Can be reincarnated as the matching coat and hat.
Yes.
And live
If
on
Denzel
forever.
wore me, that would be
And
fine.
Denzel wearing it.
I forgot, because he was properly pissed off with his, I'm not sure, the wife at the time.
That's right. Yeah, he throws the fern. It's part of the true to life thing. It actually happened. He came out of himself, and that inevitably helped to bring attention to him and his eventual downfall. So, yeah.
Well, let's head to the scores.
I'm Sam Clements, host of the 90 Minutes or Less Film Festival, another podcast in the Stripped Media family, a podcast that celebrates movies under 90 minutes long. Each episode, I'm joined by a special guest who selects a movie to join our prestigious lineup. Past guests have included fellow Stripped Media family members Martin and Sam from Song by Song, and Kobe from Flixwatcher, and Dave from The Wire Stripped. Search for us now on the app you're currently listening to this podcast, or join us at 90minfilmfest.com.
welcome to the Flixwatcher scores. They're always out of 5. You may have decimal places if you wish, and we will start with you, please, Sumit, with your recommendability.
I'm going to go with a 4.2. 4.2. Denzel, Russell Crowe, Ridley Scott, Brian Grazer. I don't think you can go wrong with that. It's a good movie. It's a throwback. Cinematography is great. The grading kind of puts you into the period piece of the time. It's a good movie. It's a good, solid movie to watch. Yeah.
Chris?
I'm going to be Captain Contrarian, just a touch. I'm going to give it a 4.25. I'll give it a 4.25. I think, I can ditto to everything that Sumit said. I found it very enjoyable. Denzel Washington was amazing, very magnetic on the screen. I found there were times I'm watching this film and I'm just looking at him. Just like, why you have so much sauce, man? Like, what's wrong with you, yo? Amazing cast. It was great to see the rise in the ranks of some of the cast members, connecting the dots with my hip-hop experience. I love the film's proximity to hip-hop as well. There's actually an album by Prodigy of Mobb Deep called the Bumpy Johnson album, which I highly recommend everyone go and listen to. And the cinematography, the coloring, the fashion too. Like, we just spoke about the coat. It just felt very true to its time. And I love the music as well. I'm big on the music supervision in film and TV. So yeah, definitely 4.25. And I would highly recommend it, even though I'm like 20 years late watching it.
Helen?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go a bit higher. I think I'm going to go for a 4.5. I think it's like probably up there with like Goodfellas in that really sprawling story that just covers so many different time periods. And I do genuinely think that it either could have been longer or something else. I just feel that also like the latter end of his life, he came out of prison quite early on. Like, what happened to him then? Like, surely he didn't just go, well, I'm just going to be really good. And there just feels like there's more of Frank's story to be told on that. So yeah, I think it's really good. I think it's really solid. We've already talked about, you'll watch it and go, it's him, it's him, it's him. It's a great cast. Yeah, I think it's a great Denzel film.
Yeah, I'm going 4.5 as well. I think it's great. And we've had Ridley on here a couple of times with The Martian. Is there anything else? There will be. I'm sure there'll be another Ridley Scott film.
Ridley Scott movies?
Yeah, that we've had on the podcast before.
Yeah.
I thought you had him on the show. I was about to say, wow.
You had him on the show. I was like, oh, that's amazing. I set up, I was like, okay, that's amazing. No one's chosen the Alien or anything like that?
Well, it's just...
They're not on Netflix. This is the thing, yeah.
Depends when they're on there, yeah.
Gladiator, maybe? Blade Runner? No one's chosen that?
No,
we had Blade Runner. That's what I'm probably thinking. We've had Blade Runner 2040.
Oh, gotcha.
Second? 7? I don't know.
2049 or something?
2049, there you go.
Yeah, unfortunately, the ones that are on Netflix tend to be the ones that maybe aren't the ones that people want to pick. So, yeah, if like you're... Oh, we've had Thelma and Louise, so that's the other one. So that's a good one. But I think Gladiator might be on there at the moment.
Yeah, as we record it, Gladiator 2 is ramping up its...
Imminent, yeah.
So, yeah, it's a great film, and I echo Helen in that I could have spent more time with people here. Potentially a miniseries. I really feel I'd want to know more. I'd love to, a full-on documentary, actually, about what actually happened. I'd like to see the blue packaging for real, see what that looked like, and see the aftermath of shooting Idris Elba's character, for example. I'd like to know more about it. Not that I've gone deep, after watching Goodfellas and learned more about Henry Hill, but I think we know more about him just in the ether than we know about Frank Lucas. It seems like an interesting guy, definitely. I think, actually, one thing is that I didn't know this was based on a true story when I first watched it, which is the thing that makes me think it needs to come out there a bit more that this was it made apparent this is based on a true story, or?
Yeah, I think it was. I think they had to get, obviously, permission and rights from Frank Lucas. There were some issues when the film came out from the family. They were unhappy with certain things, but I think, yeah, it was pretty clear it was a true story from when they released it.
Maybe it's that us being in the UK, we don't know that side of things that much. Or a repeat viewing score, something you said you watched it multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to put it higher than my recommendability score, so I would put it as a strong 4.
Okay, Chris,
I'm going to go for a 4 as well. I've actually carved out some time to watch it again.
Hold on, look, you just said you watch one film a month, and you're going to watch it again.
Yep.
He's taking my
it's just
nutritional advice. He's taking my nutritional advice.
No,
That's what
I'm
he's
going
doing.
to. Again, like, listen, man, I need to watch more films. I'm a creative. I make music, and I was struggling with some creative ideas, and I thought, you know what, Chris, just watch some films and just open up your brain a bit. So I'm definitely going to watch this again. It's a long film, like Helen said, it's 2.5 hours, so I'm probably going to have to split it in half, but I want to watch it again. Definitely.
But do you not feel you should watch a few films before you come back to this one?
That's true.
If you've got a frequency rate of one a month.
That's true, yeah. I'll come back to it, but whenever I do, I'll definitely watch this again before the end of the year. That's for sure.
Just see what Denzel films are on Netflix. Maybe go to that one next.
I'm taking a flight. I'll watch it on a flight or something.
Flight is also a Denzel Washington film, so you could watch
That's
Flight.
right.
That's true.
That's right.
This is the Denzel podcast, yo. Listen, you guys ain't playing for Denzel.
And you don't
What?
live in a safe house, but you live in a house, and that's also on Safe House is also on Netflix. You can watch that too.
Okay, cool.
That's quite a good fun film if I remember rightly. Safe House.
Need to watch that.
Denzel.
Repeat viewing score, Helen.
So I really, really, really enjoyed rewatching it. How much more I'm going to watch it, I'm not sure, because it is 2.5 hours, which is quite long. So I'm going to go for 3.5.
I think I need to watch it again, but I quite like the fact that, like Helen, I'd forgotten so much about it on the rewatch, but it has inspired me to look at people like Bumpy Johnson, other crime bosses in the area. So I will definitely get to it. Oh, hold on. There's a Netflix documentary called Drug Lords, which talks about Frank Lucas and Escobar, El Chapo, and Bumpy Johnson. So
Come on.
if I can find that, if it's still on, because sometimes they just destroy their shit. Yeah, so actually, episode 3 of that is Frank Lucas and Bumpy Johnson in the same episode. So I'm gonna seek that out, guys. It's called Drug Lords from 2018. What's going to happen is I'll press play and I'm going, oh yeah, I've seen that. Okay, yeah. So I will definitely watch this again. Maybe a bit of breathing space after 7 years, maybe get back to it. Small screen score. You saw it in the cinema, Summit. I'm quite jealous.
I did. I mean, it's good on a TV still, but it's one for the cinema. So I'm going to go with a 3 or no, 2.75. Let me be daring. 2.75.
Chris.
Yeah, I say a 3. I would love to see this. I watched this on the 42-inch TV. I would love to see this in a cinema. I would really love to see this in a cinema, just for that atmosphere with the music and how it looks and how it feels. And I think the grandiose nature of the story itself, I'd love to see it in the cinema. So, if this actually does get repeated in a cinema somewhere, I would strongly consider going to see it on the big screen.
This kind of thing comes back in the rep cinema as part of like a season. Would it be a gangster season and you're there, you want to watch a few of them, or would it be like a Ridley Scott season or a Denzel season that we're thinking that pulls you in?
I think it would be a Denzel. The way you guys are talking about Denzel, like, listen, don't get me wrong, yeah? If Denzel walked into the room now, I would bow immediately, right? But my Denzel game needs to...
Proper Wayne's World, we're not worthy.
What? Denzel Washington, yeah?
Let me tell you, Pacino, De Niro, Denzel
I
need to be
believe that.
spoken in the same conversation. They don't. They need to be. Denzel is amazing. Absolutely incredible. Trust me, it has to be. Get your game up.
Yeah, I will. But yeah, I want to go see this in the cinema. If it's at the picture... I've got a Picture House voucher I need to use. If it was there, I'd go and see it.
Helen.
When I was rewatching this, I was trying to visualise the cinema ticket, and I'm pretty sure I did see it at the cinema, at Cineworld, like one of those little tiny tickets they have. I'm like, and I don't think it all fit on the ticket. So it's like American Gangster.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm visualising. So I'm pretty sure I did see it at the cinema. But then I enjoyed watching it at home. It's quite long, so you can have a comfort break if you want, and like if you need some snacks and stuff. And if you've seen it before and you're like, I just want to do a little bit of checking on that real life person, yeah, they were real, you can do that. So I had a lovely time at home. But yeah, so Denzel's got a film coming out. He's in Gladiator 2, so we should all go and see that.
Ridley
so you
Scott
should always
again.
go to the Ridley Scott again. I mean, I don't have high hopes for it, but I'm really excited. So you should always go to the cinema to see Denzel, I feel, but at home. So I'm actually going to give it... I'm going to give it a 4. I think...
Okay.
No, actually, I'm going to give it a 5, actually. I think it's fine for watching at home.
I'd love to watch this in the cinema. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Any of those seasons. Gangster or Ridley. Probably not a Ridley season. I don't think I'd be drawn. I don't know why, actually. I don't know why I'm not drawn to a Ridley season, because he's made some fucking astonishing films. But I'm still like, Ridley Scott.
They're all quite long as well.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be there for weeks.
And it's where you talked about Gladiator 2. It's like, Gladiator was an amazing film to see in the cinema. But I hope 2 is amazing. I can't see it being as good. But, I'll probably go.
We're all going to go.
But I think if there's a Denzel season, that'll definitely pull me in. A gangster season or Denzel season at Prince Charles. Now then. So small screen score, 3.8. Engagement score, Sumit.
Let's go with 3.5 for engagement score. I watch it so many times at this point. So it's going to happen where I'm going to probably take a break.
It's a comfort watch now. It's just a Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon.
Exactly.
It's a bit moist outside.
Yeah. It's a bit like that. It's a bit like that at the moment, yeah.
Chris?
I'm going to go for 4.0. I was thoroughly engaged. Thoroughly engaged. My brain became a carnival of ideas after watching this. Like, it just... I thought the storytelling, I thought the pacing was good. I loved the wardrobe. It just really just brought me back to, when the film came out. I remember the hype around the American Gangster soundtrack. It made me pull the soundtrack out again and listen to it with a different perspective. In a weird way, after watching it, I kind of felt good. And I don't know, I was like, yeah, that was a good 2.5 hours spent. So definitely engaged. I felt a bit embarrassed as well. Like, damn, it took you long. Do you know what I mean? You need to step your game up, as Sumit said. So 4.0 for engagement.
Helen?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a solid 4 as well. It's obviously you kind of have to pay attention, but it's not a film that tries to trick you. It's basically just tells you stuff that happens in the right order. You kind of have to have a bit of attention because you want to keep your eye on who's who. But it's a pretty straightforward storytelling. So yeah. For the length, I was engaged throughout, which is quite surprising for me.
I'm going to give it a 4.2. I really enjoyed it. It is a bit like paint the numbers kind of thing, in a way. I would maybe like to know a bit more about Josh Brolin's character and those dirty cops. I do like that thing of like the dirty cops and the good cops, and like they're in the same precinct. And
like The Shield.
I haven't seen The Shield. A lot of people do tell me I need to watch The Shield.
If you like good cop, bad cops, then you like The Shield. And that idea of corruption, yeah.
I may watch one movie a month, but I've watched The Shield 3 times.
Okay. But yeah, okay. So that does put The Shield a bit further up from middle of the 1,000 things in my playlist at the moment. I will get around to it one day, 100%. But yeah, Josh Brolin's character is and those kind of characters are interesting, but like compared to the fact Russell Crowe's character and everyone hating him because he like shared all the money in the boot was there and counted for, and people were like, hey, did you even take like $5 for a milkshake? So I'd probably like to know a bit more about those kind of people in this if it was longer, and that would be quite interesting. But anyway, that gives us an overall score of 3.88750. I thought this might be a bit higher than that, but it's lost out on
small screen.
Small screen, yeah, a little bit of small screen, a little bit of repeat viewing. Yeah, well, there you go. Okay, guys, so if you don't already, do follow us on Twitter. We are at FlixWatcherPod. Also, do follow us on Instagram and Threads, potentially Blue Sky, potentially TikTok at Flixwatcher, because we put out tweets asking for your opinions before recording a film. So look out for a tweet or a TikTok or a Thread or a Blue Sky saying something similar to we're reviewing American Gangster with Chris and Sumit from Break the Atoms. Have you seen it? Tells your thoughts and a score out of 5 stars for an on-air shout out on Flixwatcher. So we had John Loftus. Thank you very much, John. As always, you are a fantastic contributor to these tweets.
Yes, John Loftus, thank you very much. He has said Denzel is insanely good and Ridley Scott is on top form, and John gives this a 3.5 stars.
With that kind of summary, I would have thought a bit more than that, but hey.
It's his stars.
Yeah, it's his stars.
And he used emojis too, which I actually...
You got to respect
I
it.
appreciate more, because I had to take a thing to go, why has he put 3 sunshines? I was like, that's 3 stars. So it threw me a little.
Sumit, Chris, can you tell everyone where we can find you guys online and say goodbye to the listeners?
Yeah, so you can find me and Chris every week at Breaking Atoms, the podcast. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook at Break the Atoms. Look forward to our new series Elements, which is currently out. And from my point of view, thank you for having us, and thank you for allowing me to talk about American Gangster and Denzel.
Yeah, thank you for having us, man. Appreciate it.
No problems.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Guys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Ciao.
Bye.
Enjoyed this episode of Flixwatcher podcast? Why not leave us a 5-star review on iTunes? You can also follow us at FlixWatcherPod on Twitter, and we're at FlixWatcher on Instagram. Thanks as always to the mighty people for their mighty tunes and Rockwood Audio's editing skills. If you're looking to get your podcast edited as sweet as this, get in touch with Rockwood, ROKK Wood Audio. Tell them Flixwatcher sent you.
You just heard a Stripped Media production.